This is it, boys and girls. We have one last genre category before the best of 2023 series wraps up. For today, it is that little known category known as the best RPGs, and just like a normal RPG, I'm sure this will be at least minimum an 80-hour long video. Make things easier on me, because this series has gone on far enough, we're going to be putting all the RPGs together, and I can tell you since I didn't play it, Baldur's Gate 3 is definitely not going to be on the list. But we begin as always with our runner-ups, and we're going to start with Ghostlore. This is an ARPG inspired by Southeast Asian mythology and kind of culture. When strange creatures are invading the islands, it's up to you and whatever kind of classes and abilities you choose in order to bring peace back to the land. This one has a lot going for it in terms of its ARPG design, allowing you to kind of do the dual classing or kind of multiple specs of, say, a Titan quest, with its own kind of very elaborate passive system as well, different weapons, elites, and all that other great stuff. This one definitely punches way above its weight class in terms of its ARPG design. But what kept it from making it to the list or the top of the list for me is that it felt like there's so much going on that it kind of overwhelms the player. There is so much loot, and then you have the different passives you can attach. It could have, I think, done a little bit better job of making it easier to parse. Okay, is this actually better for me? Is it worse? Why do I need all this stuff? How do I get everything onto this passive tree? If you can play this multiplayer, this is going to be a very enjoyable time as well, and there is certainly a lot of gameplay here if you're looking for a very indie take on the ARPG genre. Our next pick is the incredibly charming Born of Bread. You play as a boy, born of bread, who must save your baker father when he's accused of summoning demons, and you must explore the world, get into wacky hijinks and combat, and try and save everyone one turn-based fight at a time. This one definitely ranks high in just being very charming to look at. Love the aesthetics and the kind of emotions and facial expressions that everyone has. What kept it from being higher on the list is that combat felt a little too easy in some respect and too annoying in another. This is not going to be the super challenging, incredibly hard JRPG, but it does make heavy use of action commands, especially in order to easily recover your kind of special move meter at the start. And if you're not a fan of the variety of action commands, rapid pushing, wiggling that stick for dear life, that kind of gameplay, this one may lose you. But this is still a fantastic turn-based RPG if you're looking for one that's going to be on the easier side with a whole lot of charm and cooking to go around. Our next runner-up is one that I think I've spent the most time on this year, maybe second to one of the later entries, and that is Labyrinth of Galleria. This is the sequel to Labyrinth of Refrain, a very challenging, very aesthetically gorgeous, and quite mature dungeon crawling series from Nice, or Nippon Ichi. The sequel adds a whole lot more to the game with more refinements to how party dynamics works, how you can move and interact with the dungeons, a lot more enemies and side quests and regular quests and all that. And this is all tied together into a very challenging and very in-depth dungeon crawling and turn-based RPG combat, complete with randomly and procedurally generated gear, which you can then combine, and things can be further combined, and you can lead to just some amazingly game-breaking strategies. The story goes a whole lot of places, to say the least. And if you think that it can't get any more weird, disturbing, or heartwarming, it does. It goes much like in the first game. If you've played Labyrinth of Refrain, you kind of have a rough idea of what I'm talking about. I'm not going to spoil it here. What keeps it from making it to the top of my list, despite the many hours I put into it, going into the post-game, and then the post-game. I think I kind of stopped at the post-game. And you can get a good idea of why it didn't get to the top of the list with that explanation. Is that a lot of the stuff that was added to give it length didn't necessarily, I think, made the game better. Once you get to the kind of like the first post-game challenge, it turns into a randomly generated dungeon crawler, which sounds good in theory, until you realize there's, I think, like 100 floors you have to climb up, or maybe even more than that, I forget. It's been, I think, almost a year at the time of recording this, of when I actually did it. This is all while you're fighting more bosses, and the enemy's power definitely escalates. And then when I finally just kind of stopped playing the game near the post game content, which was after the post having to find all the items and random stuff to complete all the side quests challenge, was a boss that even when I lowered the game's difficulty down, which you can do at any time, it still just rocked me. And when that was done, then I would have to do the post game challenge of another randomly generated dungeon. So the sequel, while it does greatly improve on the first game, it is not, as I think, finely tuned or trimmed in terms of like the fat of the genre. This is one of those games that if you're looking for a very, very, very involved dungeon crawler, one that you are not going to be beating in a weekend, that's for sure, then this is a very easy recommendation. But again, with the caveat that if you want to see this game all the way through to the end, you're going to be investing a lot of time in it. For our last runner-up, we turn to Super Mario RPG Legend of the Seven Stars, the remake/remaster that was put onto the Switch, featuring a brand new visual art style, and an across-the-board balancing and adjusting of all the major skills, items, quests, and whatnot. While the original one still holds, I think, a more fonder memory to me, being the obviously original, this one is still a very great substitute or a great first look if you missed out on the original and trying to see where the whole Mario RPG concept originated from. So if you have a Switch and you're looking to do some bouncing frog coin collecting and that damn Yoshi musical minigame that I'm horrible at, then this is another solid pick. And with that, we have 5 for the top of the list. And we're going to start with Sorry We're Open. This is the sequel to No Delivery, which is, it kind of occupies in that weird space between being quasi-roguelike, but still being more on the RPG side. You are dealing with the horrors of working in retail at the mall. It is up to you as a newly appointed manager to keep your department area fully stocked, keep your people happy, paid, and not dying, and discover why so many people have mysteriously disappeared, and where all those weird red stains are, and why is that mannequin over there looking at you funny, and what is going on with all these weird training videos. So this is RPG/horror/roguelike, with a very unique sense in terms of progression and exploration of this world. Much like their previous game, there is a lot of very disturbing and interesting lore going on behind the scenes. This one is a very unusual take. While it is by no means as challenging or difficult as Fear and Hunger or Fear and Hunger 2, this one can still throw you for a loop if you're not accustomed to the design, and it's very easy at the start to kind of mess up in terms of what the game expects out of you. But if you learn the rules, it can be very easy to break, and then you can just go along for this strange story and see where it all goes. So if you're a fan of RPGs, a little bit of horror, and looking for one that is certainly going to take you off the beaten track in terms of its design, then this is a great game to play. My next pick goes to probably the only mobile game that's going to be on the list for this series, and that is Limbus Company, the latest game from Project Moon, who are known for now doing two things: making very unique and original games, and filling them with amazing music that can also cause varying bouts of depression and emotional damage when you listen to them. The game is still going on as I'm recording this, and it is yet another solid, confusing, and very interesting take for kind of a mobile RPG. While I don't think the gameplay is as involved or as interesting as, say, an Arc Knight or what we see out of MiHoYo, it's still one of the more fairer to play mobile games. That was not easy to say, and still one that is definitely worth checking out if you're looking for a mobile game that has a lot of interesting stories while being very disturbing and coming with some great music, with or without maybe needing your credit card if you don't get lucky during those gacha rolls. For my next pick for best RPGs, we go to Small Saga. This one has been a very long time coming, and it is basically, again, if we combine The Secret of Nim with a pinch of Game of Thrones and a whole lot of angst and violence. It is up to your critter crew in order to go out and take revenge on the Yellow God, aka a human exterminator, all the while getting into all kinds of trouble, political strife, and causing revolution in the underground rat/vermin world under the streets of London. The aesthetics of this one and music are really fantastic. The story goes a whole lot of places, definitely not one for the kids. It is on the easier side. This isn't going to be an RPG. You're going to be playing more for the story and the themes rather than for very involved combat. Once you know, much like with Sorry We're Open, once you know kind of how this game works, it is very easy to break. But that is certainly fun when you have some amazing character designs and a unique world to explore that I hope we see more of in the future. So, if you're looking for a game that's all about scale, strife, and a whole lot of swords play, then you should definitely check this one out. For my next pick, we go to probably the only, Pokemon-esque game that has not come from Nintendo that I've really enjoyed, and that is Cassette Beasts. You are trapped on a strange island where there may or may not be gods vying for control, strange creatures going around, and you have, of course, no memory of how you got here. But in order to get out, you must use the power of friendship, music, and a lot of strange creatures in order to do this. All the kind of Pokemon likes that I've played, what I really like about Cassette Beasts is being able to explore the world. There's a lot more in terms of movement ability, movement kind of tech that you can use to get around, find secrets. The different monsters you find are all very unique. Love the kind of art style they're going for, and the music does pop in a lot of places. It goes very hard during the boss fights. This one has a lot going for it, and again, like some of the other entries on this list, this is not going to be a game you're going to play and finish in a weekend. If you have any love of monster collecting, Pokemon-style games at all, and you're looking for a very solid indie take on this, then Cassette Beast is a fantastic and easy recommendation from me. For the last pick of best RPGs from me for 2023, we go to Sea of Stars. This is the latest game from developers of The Messenger, one of my favorite platformers of recent years, and this one is anything but that. This is a love letter to 16-bit JRPG, specifically the Chrono Trigger variety. You and your party of 3 are trying to bring peace to the world, and you're going to do that going from one beautifully detailed environment to the next. Like a lot of the other games on the list this year, we have action commands with different characters having different abilities, different rules for using them. And this is a game that is admittedly a slow starter. Once you get access to more of your party members and the world actually opens up, there's a very entertaining game here. Like a lot of the other RPGs on the list this year, it's some incredible music. The battle theme has been stuck in my head, much like Limbus Company's different songs as well. This one, as an RPG, it does not kind of innovate or change the formula. If you're looking for an RPG that, again, is going to go above and beyond or do something you haven't seen before, Sea of Stars is definitely not it. But if you have any love of JRPGs, Chrono Trigger, the 16-bit era of that genre, then this is an easy recommendation. And I hope we see more from the studio, and I hope we get more of the messenger at some point, so we can do more of the thing. But with that said, the RPG list is done, and we came very under my estimate that I gave at the beginning. And with that, the best of list is now finished in terms of its genres. So I'm going to put all this together, and we're going to have our big best in show to wrap this up, and then we can actually formally and officially begin 2024. And with that, let me know what some of your favorite RPGs were, especially any of the more hidden gems, RPG Maker style ones, or itch.io exclusives. And with that, everyone, get some more rest, get another snack and drink in you, and we'll be back real soon for the closing ceremony. That's going to do it for today's video. Thank you so much for watching. Be sure to do the YouTubing stuff people tell you to do. If you're interested in more of my thoughts on design, check out my books wherever they are sold. Visit our Discord and Patreon, and come back for daily discussions on game design here, and on game wisdom, where you some of the art and science of games.